All right, good morning, everyone. It's a new month, so we're going to have a new composer this month, and his name is Franz Joseph Haydn. Haydn is the way you pronounce that name. And he lived from 1732 to 1809. We did our little math problem. You can do it on your own as well and figure out how old he was when he died. I'll give you a second or two. 77 years old is how old he was when he died. Now, he is in the classical time period. So we did Baroque with Handel, which the word was fancy for Baroque music. Classical time period, the word is structure. They like to have balance to their music. They like to follow the rules. And the music was very simplistic. Baroque time period, remember, they like to add in a bunch of extra stuff. And for classical, they went the opposite way. They like simple, beautiful melodies. They like to have balance and follow the rules. So structure is the word we're using for classical time period. Now, Haydn was born in Rau, Austria. Please look, Austria. It's different than Australia. Rau, Austria. Early on, his parents quickly figured out he was going to be super talented musically, and they wanted to get him a good music education, and they felt like that would not happen in their home. So at 6 years old, they moved him in with his uncle, who lived in Hainburg, Austria, not too far from the parents. And he did get a great music education there. He learned all of these instruments. You may recognize some of them from Handel's studies, but he also learned the trumpet, the harp, and the drum as well. So he did have a great music education. But he writes in his memoirs when he's an adult, he writes how he often went to bed hungry, and many times he was embarrassed because his clothes weren't well taken care of. So I don't know if his uncle was poor, had a hard time taking care of him, but Haydn figured out a way to help himself out. So Haydn was a great singer, and he became recognized as a great singer, so much so that they invited him to sing at the St. Stephen's Cathedral with the Vienna Boys Choir. So this is a group of boys. The Vienna Boys Choir has been around for quite a long time. They're still around today. And the boys live there in dormitories and they perform. So this is a modern day picture of St. Stephen's Cathedral. And here's a picture from back then. By the way, this is not a river. They're not walking on the water. That's the street, and it's a different view when you're looking at the picture. But anyways, so the Vienna Boys Choir invited Haydn to come and sing with them. So he lived there for until he was about 15 years old. But once again, Haydn speaks of not having enough food, whether there wasn't enough food for all the boys or the older boys were taking food, we don't know, but he speaks of not having enough food. So once again, Haydn figures out a way that he can get more nourishment. So the best singers got to travel and go to perform for parties for the rich aristocrats and like the dukes, and they would go to these houses of these richer people, and they would get fed extra food for performing and entertaining them. So that's what Haydn did. He became one of the best singers, and he traveled with that smaller part of the Vienna Boys Choir, and he sang for the richer people, and there he got extra food. He was a problem solver for sure. Vienna, by the way, is right here, not too far from where he was. So Vienna, Austria. Now, he was known as the father of the symphony. That's because Haydn was the creator and the inventor, basically, of the symphony. You may think of symphony as that group that all the instrumentalists play all of those instruments that we talk about. That's called a symphony orchestra. But symphony is actually a form of music. Haydn's the one who came up with the rules and created that balanced music that was so structured in the classical time period. He wrote 106 symphonies in his lifetime, and we're actually going to listen to one of them in the next little clip. So, Father of the Symphony is Haydn's nickname.